Hello and welcome to the Three Wide Men podcast. We're back and on our new home on YouTube. Exciting place to be. I'm happy here. I think we've got all 4 stands now, I'm pretty sure. It's looking
What's
good.
YouTube? Is that a new thing?
Yeah, it's pretty new.
People use that.
All the kids are on the YouTube.
Oh, sadly, it's just going to be an image of close-up image of Jonny or something.
Right,
we haven't quite got the technical skills for camera yet, or we can't afford a camera. So
yeah, we've all got face for radio. So start things off. Massive protest this week. Huge drama with Alexis Sanchez. Protesters to see Alexis Sanchez leave the club, leave Arsenal. Anyone see this?
I saw
in the news.
Was it all 4 of them or 5?
I think it was 5.
I think you can count on one hand either way. How many?
Yeah, the story I saw was 10.
Oh, 10.
10. There was not that many in the Instagram video, I'll tell you that. Have you guys seen that? There's literally just 5 Chilean blokes sat in a park, like
there's one woman
doing a chant. Was there a woman?
Because they interviewed, I saw a video interview and she was like,
she must turn up
she
later.
said something like, when you've got such a noble cause, you've got to support it. I was just like, you've clearly... there must be something more important than Sanchez, surely.
I mean, it's not like he's not getting playing time or anything.
The thing is, I do agree with the actual premise of this. Like, I think he's basically too good to be wasted at Arsenal. Like, they're not going to win anything if things stay the same. And he is too good of a player to not win anything in this country. So, the idea was right. It was just executed.
The problem with this is the problem with Arsenal though. They have good players and they're not willing to stick it out. They like obviously Henry said, he would have stayed, but he was like, because he was at the end of his career, he wanted to go on stuff. Whereas how old is Sanchez? He's got
20s,
late 20s, but he's
Maybe.
so he has got time to still win stuff. But obviously he's not willing to.
He can go like he's basically prime of his career.
28.
Yeah,
but it's like
this
is the problem with Arsenal. They're trying to get the right mix of experience and quality, and as soon as the experienced players, the problem is the experience is the quality, and they have there's too few of those players in one team, and then they just leave. And if Sanchez leaves, I think even if they get someone in, I think it's a disaster. But
this sort of Arsenal's is their problem, isn't it? They seem to be able to sign one star player a season, sort of thing. So brought in like Sanchez. Yeah, because they didn't really this summer, did they? To be honest, they tried.
Xhaka, what do you think?
Oh, maybe Xhaka.
That was someone they
needed. They actually spent a lot of money this season on Xhaka, Mustafi, and Perez.
I think,
but none of them.
But they weren't on the same level as Ozil or Sanchez.
No,
I'd argue they're players that could get to that level.
I'd argue Czech was a star signing as well. To be honest, he's not been good this season, but at the time, Czech was a very good goalkeeper.
Yeah, no, I mean in the summer.
Yeah, no, I mean this summer, yeah, but
in the summer.
I mean, I'd say I'd put Czech in that level with Ozil and Sanchez. So yeah, what do you think?
Yeah.
So I think we will see Sanchez leave this summer. I'd be very surprised if not. Where do you think he'll go? Because I know he's got his Udinese links. There's obviously a Pozzo family that scouted him, but I don't think he'll come to Watford. He'd definitely be welcome. He'd absolutely be welcome, and I think he'd have a lot of success. With Isaac's success, what a pairing that would be. But sorry, I'll let that go. Where do you think he's actually going to go?
There are rumours that Juventus want him.
Yeah, that was
but
today, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure he wants to go back to Spain. So
I could see him go back to Barca, to be honest.
Maybe,
what's that Neymar kid doing nowadays?
That's the thing. I don't think he gets ahead of. I don't think there's room in Barca's starting team at least for.
I'd play him ahead of Neymar.
I don't know if I would.
Especially Neymar this season.
But
Neymar's still got.
I would say.
I
would like, but he
Messi's
was
basically retired. So.
Neymar, even though he's not been scoring, he was pretty good the past 2 games I've seen him, which were. I'm trying to think of other. Who's at Real Madrid winger wise?
He can play down the middle.
Bale and Ronaldo.
He fits there. Well, I think Bale's injured a lot, so that would.
And got himself sent off.
But he does fit Real Madrid's profile that he's not ugly and he's a good player. So
he's very good looking. Kid.
Wait. If that's the case, if that's their profile, why did they sign that? Wait, did you say Real Madrid or Barcelona?
Real Madrid.
Okay, if we said Barcelona, I was like, why did they sign Suarez then?
I think I think Sanchez could work it. Like they play 4-3-3, but instead of having, so they've maybe got Casemiro and Modric in the two defensive, and then if they have Sanchez behind Benzema, and then that would be unbelievable. That's unbelievable because Isco's not. It's not working out for him, and Hammers is not having a great time either. So
Yeah.
I can see that.
To be honest, the way Barcelona play, they could probably play a 3-3-4 and it wouldn't make much difference with it. They could probably get away with it. Because plus Messi up front and Barcelona outside Rooney.
Yeah. It'd be interesting if you went to Juventus, but it's sort of like the challenge is with Arsenal though. That's the thing. If he goes, yes, he can win stuff at Juventus and Real Madrid, but like the challenge is if he won stuff with Arsenal, he'd be a legend there. Whereas like these other clubs are winning stuff all the time, and you know I kind of would like him to stick it out, but like I don't really know where I'd see him, to be honest. He is a good player and he fit in many teams, but there's no team that I'd say is calling out for a Sanchez.
Yeah. It's interesting none of us named a Premier League team because I think he fits
I
Premier
don't
League
think
football.
he'd go anywhere
Arsenal
else.
wouldn't let that happen.
Yeah,
Arsenal would no way they'd sell him to another Premier League team. Because United, I'd love him because I think he's quite a good winger, so I'd love to have him. But like, no way would Arsenal, let alone sell him for the first place, but then sell him to a Premier League club. That'd be even.
We say that, but it's Arsenal. They're kind of used to getting snaked by Man City. It's Chelsea like a good snake and then just sneak in and like nick players. I wouldn't be that surprised, to be honest. Arsenal don't have. They might have the financial gains, but they don't have the balls to say no, to be honest. Half the time they'll just sell it on their top players anyway. If it means they'll make a lot of money. If everyone was bidding 30-40 mil for him and then Chelsea or City came in and like, we'll give you 70, they'd take it. And I think he fits the Premier League well, and I don't think he's particularly unhappy in the country.
I disagree.
I don't know.
He probably wants to.
It's more than Arsenal.
For me, he feels like a player that would quite like to sit in the sun and bask in his own glory. So.
With his shorts pulled up to make sure he gets more of a tan. It'd be interesting.
But I wanted to know what you guys thought of. There is a list that I got off a very poor newspaper website. I won't name them just to save them. But they had a list. And I did take away some of the players because I thought they were nonsense. So a list of players that Arsenal could look at to replace him.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think? Do you think Royce?
No.
He fits Arsenal perfectly in the fact that he's always injured.
Griezmann?
Absolute soup. That's a worthwhile replacement.
It's a worthwhile replacement, but they'd have to pay it like, you know, when you get the Argos, like, to afford the 8 million, they'd have to like pay it in investments of like 20 mil every month.
Belotti?
That's an interesting one. He's a bit younger. And a bit.
He's more of a striker, so I don't really understand why they've put him in there.
It depends where you play Sanchez. I think that's a risk. I probably wouldn't take that.
Benzema, for some reason, they put in there.
I guess they have been playing Sanchez as a striker, haven't they? And Benzema's linked with Arsenal every year because he's French and they need a striker.
James Rodriguez. Do you think they do a straight swap?
I don't think he's
straight swap.
I just don't think.
You know, I feel like that would benefit both.
I wouldn't mind seeing Rodriguez. I think he had a good World Cup and he's had an okay career. I don't think he's.
I think he's still. He was fantastic at Monaco as well. I think he's still a quality.
I mean, he's pretty. Like, he's still Champions League quality, but I don't think he's like elite level. Like.
Which is why he would fit in at Arsenal.
Possibly.
Maybe. I actually think that would be a straight swap for Sanchez for Rodriguez. I think would probably benefit both parties.
We had Mahrez.
Terrible idea.
Terrible idea.
Really?
No, so many.
I don't even know. To be honest, I think even if Watford were linked with Mahrez, I'd be unsure.
Really?
How is he? I know he's. It depends how he does in the rest of this season.
We've seen how Leicester changed their form at a drop of a hat.
Yeah, exactly.
On
so
Monday.
if he rediscovers that old form and he wasn't just a flash in the pan.
And for some players, all it takes is to be around better players, and they can become top class. Like, I don't know. I thought that was a really interesting one. It fits their profile because he'd probably be pretty cheap now.
Probably would.
And he's someone that would still want to try and prove himself and would maybe push him. Like, would maybe feel more of a connection with the club.
That's the thing. I don't know if he would. I wonder. I kind of just question his attitude. Because obviously the whole Leicester squad's attitude has been obviously comes under scrutiny. But I don't know. He's been anonymous this season. To be honest, I know.
Yeah, but so is everyone.
So is
literally
everyone.
Every player at Leicester have been anonymous.
But then, so it would either be he'd go to Arsenal and be motivated, or he'd go I'm at Arsenal, I'm living the life here.
Yeah,
I've done
I
well.
can't see that, to be honest. I don't think that's
Him.
I don't think he's good enough, to be honest. I think he's a good player. Like, he's clearly can do it in the right circumstances. I just don't think at Arsenal. I think he will.
Yeah, I think he'd have to really perform in this last part of the season to earn that move. Because I don't think Arsenal would.
I find that
unless they could get him really cheap.
He was their star, one of their
He was
star players
phenomenal last year. I can't deny
and he
that,
scored.
but-
You know, he was the guy who scored the goals for them. You know, 1-0 at Watford and stuff like that. They were the winning.
Yeah,
and I feel like that kind of quality is hard to find and is something that Arsenal need more of. Even though he hasn't proved it this season, I don't know. I feel like if you've got quality to do that for one season, if you've got the right coach
Arsenal have
behind
got
you,
quality players. Like, it forever annoys me that they don't play Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Yeah, he's so good.
I think it annoys a lot.
I know
of people.
he's had a bit of dodgy form now and then, hasn't he? But I think he's still.
Yeah, I mean, he's
doing well at centre mid.
problem
He's
there
never
is-
ever a centre midfielder, is he?
someone was saying it's all. I think that's the problem is with Chamberlain, that he can play exceptional in the middle and can play exceptional out wide, but he doesn't do it consistently enough. And especially when he's in the middle, he gets tackled very easily. And I think this is an English player problem anyway. But a lot of the time, unless he's running with the ball, running at you, if he's just holding it. He even got tackled quite a few times at Sutton. It was like, seriously, Chamberlain, what are you like? You should be able to hold the ball.
I don't think he's a centre mid though. I think I'd like him on the
Absolutely.
wing.
But like
he's
they play him as a
big, powerful
they
wingers
play him
is
as
so
like
good for the Prem.
a CAM
Yeah.
by midfielder, not then Dybala.
That would be a good one. He's been in bad form, hasn't he,
on
this year?
how did they say it on BT? No.
Wrong, wasn't it?
It wasn't Dybala. It was like
Dybala.
Dybala. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
Which
it's
is
like
I'm pretty sure it'd be Dybala. But yeah, I think that'd be a good sign. He's obviously got a lot of talent, and he might need a new challenge because I've been hearing
I would place that one side alongside Belotti. I think it's like he's still quite young, isn't he? So
yeah, I think
there's a lot of promise there, but is that worth the risk?
Yeah, I think he's got more. At least he's a bigger name, isn't he? He's something I think Arsenal fans would get more excited for. I've been hearing that I saw recently on Twitter that apparently he hasn't been good for Juventus at all this season. Apparently, like recently maybe then.
I swear he scored a couple of goals recently.
I've seen people saying like he's been out of form and like fans are getting a bit impatient with him. And
I thought he scored a free kick like a week ago.
Yeah,
like,
I think
I know one goal doesn't.
Someone said like he scored and like.
But
Yeah, so if he needs a change in scenery or something, then Arsenal would be a great place for him to go.
And then I'm trying to, because I didn't write it down, but they said like this would be really simple Arsenal. They just said Welbeck.
Just use Welbeck.
Just stop him getting injured. But yeah, that was a bit of a pointless thing. Yeah, so that was my list.
Do you think of any other wingers who do Arsenal a good job?
Oh, well they can't get to Pi, so that's fine.
Usman Dembele a winger or is he a striker?
He's more striker.
Similar role, like he sort of sometimes plays in the wing if Aubameyang's up.
He's a striker, but then Martial's a striker, and everyone plays him out wide. Like he's kind of turned into a winger, so he probably could play out wide.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of an Arsenal player.
Like, obviously, I love Lorenzo Insigne.
No,
but
Lacazette.
I think he's still in good form, isn't he? It's funny, isn't it? Actually, that Lyon aren't on doing better this year. You look at the French league, and I've got the stat. On
There's got to be someone from PSG that they sell.
Lucas Moura. Probably be that's something I generally see Arsenal making, but I don't think it'd be necessarily a good one. So they've got Di Maria, Draxler, Lucas Moura, Pastore. I know he's kind of more central.
This is the thing now. I think Arsenal need to just sign experience. I know they've done so.
I think
like
they need a refurbishment altogether of their squad. They need to figure out how they want to play, and they need players that will actually fit together and not just.
I think they know how they want to play.
They know how they want to play.
It's just that balance of experience and youth.
Yeah.
And he's got too much youth at the moment, and then the moment they get to that sort of turning point, they sort of all leave because they don't want to have to wait for these young players to develop. And they've got the quality, because they have the quality for half the season, then they just drop off, and then they come back at the end of the season. So it's just if they can find someone experienced in that middle period to sort of carry them through, and just make sure they know how to win games.
Yeah.
But
it's a tough
finding that player is probably a couple of players.
Yeah. They literally need to find a gem like Kante, don't they? Like something like that, because That's something that holds Arsenal back compared to a lot of other top teams, is they only make 1 or 2 signings, or maybe 3. Like, they don't make many signings in a window. Whereas there has been a lot of signings in China. Segueing on to the next point.
Very
So
nice.
then, apparently a lot of bids were coming in for Andy Carroll. I'm not really sure why. Apparently, according to Slavica, is it Slavica or Slavic?
Slavan Bilic.
Slavic. I think it's Slavica
Jukanovic.
Yeah. No, Bilic said that apparently China fell in love with Andy Carroll and sent a lot of bids in, but obviously didn't get him in the end. I'm not entirely sure why Andy Carroll in particular. I'm not sure. It's not Year of the Horse this year, is it, in China? That joke. Andy Carroll's a quality player. But on that topic, who was a player you fell in love with when you saw them play in person?
You guys can go first.
I don't know if anyone would have actually heard of him, but Danny Ward. I think during 2010 season we had Charlton in the playoffs. I think we came here on loan. I can't remember where he was. Bolton, I think. I think he was at Bolton.
And he came on
we
loan.
got him on loan to Swindon, and he was played where I play, sort of left mid or left wing, and sometimes up front, and he's just scored, and I sort of saw a bit of him, me and him, and just sort of he was like a hero for us that year, and I've always his career's not exactly gone to plan. I think he had a hernia operation not long after he left us, and then it's not really gone to plan for him. But when I saw him in that season, I liked what I saw.
What sort of player was he? What position?
Left mid.
Sort
of. I can't remember what we were playing at the time. I think it was he was playing on the left side. And he just basically one of those players that picked up the ball and decided he was going to beat his man, and he was was driving it and he chipped him with goals. And one of the best counter-attacking goals I've seen at the county ground. You can look on this YouTube apparently. Is our second goal at home in the playoffs in 2010. We got corner at the other end. Simon Ferry and Danny Ward on the counter. It was a really good finish actually from Danny Ward at the end. So nice. I like him.
Sounds pretty good. Mine was when I went to see Watford Leicester, not that Watford Leicester game, but it was the same season. I went to see them in Fernando Forestieri is the first time I'd properly seen him play, because I don't think he'd been playing that much. I didn't get a chance to go to many games. And I think we won 2-0 or 2-1 that day, and it was Forestieri who scored both, and he was just absolutely phenomenal, because this was quite early in the Pozzo era, obviously, and I say quite early. It was literally the first couple months in, and we weren't used to having any kind of quality player. So to see this player from Argentina and Italy who had this just fantastic feat, and he was even tracking back, tackling everyone. He worked so hard and he was so passionate. And I think I talk about it quite a bit. I love players that interact with the crowd. And both his goals, he ran straight into the Vicarage Road crowd and hugged the fans. And I absolutely love that. I think I love it, showing that love for the club even so early on, and having that connection. I think was really important. Especially when that was obviously when we were known as Udinese B, and people were like, oh, you've lost your identity and all that stuff. It's like, well, we're high up in the league, and we have got players that genuinely love playing for us and interact with the fans and love the fans. I mean, he used to walk around, he used to walk around the town centre and people would talk to him. I think he hung out a lot in the town centre after that Leicester game and just spoke with fans. He was genuinely a really nice bloke, and it makes me really happy to see him at Sheffield Wednesday having a lot of success. He's a key player there, and he never really got a proper run in of games for us. Especially when he had Vidra, who was exceptional for us as well, in front of him. So, to see him starting regularly and playing well, I'm glad for him. I'm happy for him, although I do miss him. Yeah. Apparently he cried when we sold him, and I nearly did as well, to be honest. I was gutted. He left.
Yeah, I've got a few mentions, so prepare yourself.
A couple.
But I'll start off with probably... You might have heard of him, but a Forest Green player called Klukowski. He now plays for York City. Okay. Centre mid, I think.
Yeah,
centre mid.
Jan Klukowski.
Yeah, I think it's Jan. Yeah, he was top scorer at Forest Green, 49, but then was taken over by James Norwood. And he was one of the early players I remember seeing at Forest Green. I didn't get to go to too many games, just because when I was quite young, not many people used to go to Forest Green, and the only chance I got to go was with my brother, who drove. And And he wasn't too long ago, but he was one of the first players that I just remember stuck in my mind, and sort of was a bit of a was better quality than I think Forest Green had beforehand. Got to mention obviously John Parkin, just because of just sort of how he was. It was more rather than like how he, like you say, sort of just the way some players are, and you just sort of. I'd say these are mentions because I didn't really fall in love with them, but they're just players that sort of touch your heart a little bit. And, and he obviously became the beast and stuff like that, so that was quite nice. I've obviously been a United supporter. I fell in love with him first on TV, but then I went to watch him. I'm trying to probably I think it might have been a Europa League game or FA Cup game. Hernandez. I just loved the way he was just an instinctive striker. Would shoot as soon as it's such a silly thing to say when if you're a striker just have a shot, but he used to just the way keepers wouldn't expect him to just pull off a shot quickly, and that's sort of the best thing about young strikers. Probably seen it a lot with Rashford. They have that element of surprise because they're more they're not conditioned in the way that many older strikers have been, or they just try stuff that they've tried in previous leagues or previous lower leagues and how that sort of pans. And he is a player that now he's left, I'd say as real one of my favourite players. But I'm going to say my probably the one I've fallen in love with is probably Marsh Brown and Forest Green, just because over the time of going to Wembley, the first time I went to Wembley obviously last year against Grimsby, and he scored an absolute screamer.
What a strike!
It's unbelievable. It's ridiculous.
I just remember watching him, and then I was looking at the ball, and the next minute it was gone. He didn't really look like he was going to shoot, and then before you knew it was just float top corner, and it was just it was a special moment, and that's sort of the difference between sort of just liking a player and liking what they do to sort of sort of fall in love with in italics.
Yeah, except whenever I watched you last season, I don't know about this season, you just always seem to be scoring from outside the box. He's got an absolutely lethal shot on him.
Yeah, true. Actually, in that playoff run, he did score.
He just kept scoring worldie after worldie.
One player I will say is slowly probably going to, if he keeps on playing, is probably Bugel, who signed recently. Because after the game against Woking, he was going around all the fans, taking pictures, chatting to them, having really long conversations with them, and all the other players had obviously gone off, and it was like there's just something about his manner as well that I quite like. But that's sort of my list.
Talking about Forest Green, Liam actually went to Forest Green Woking recently, conducted a couple of interviews, found out what fans thought of the changes going on at Forest Green. Liam, you're better than anyone to explain kind of what's happening.
Yeah, well, it's in the clip, so
okay, it's in the clip. We'll let the clip talk. Yeah, true.
And just like that, we transported you from Eastbourne in East Sussex to Nailsworth in Gloucestershire. I'm at the game, Forest Green Rovers versus Woking at the New Lawn. I've just parked up. It's just started to rain as well, so typical weather after leaving from the Sunshine Coast. I'm hoping to speak to a couple of Forest Green fans. Hopefully I might chat to a few Woking supporters as well, see what they make of the situation and the ownership of Forest Green and sort of some of the goings on. So let's go find out. After I bought my ticket, I found a Forest Green fan helping with handing out programmes.
Ray Clegg. I live in King Stanley, which is a village just down near Stonehouse, a couple of miles from here. I'm an operations director for a transport company based in South Wales.
Firstly, I asked him about his general feeling on Dale Vince and what impact he's had on the little club on the hill.
His involvement's been fantastic for the club. It's kept the club afloat, it's moved it forward, it's quite progressive. It stirs national interest because of it's a vegan football club, and his eco philosophy, which goes down pretty well in this area, to be fair. So yeah, his involvement's been positive, he's committed, and the club's got a good future.
At the start of February, it was reported on Gloucestershire Live that Forest Green Rovers made a loss of nearly £2.5 million for the year ending April 30th, 2016. It means the total losses in the last 2 years are in excess of £5.3 million. I asked Ray if the debt worried him, especially for a National League club.
No,
It's
it
the
doesn't worry
nature.
me because it's the way of football. I think if you look at almost every club in the Premier League and the Championship, they're all owned by, if you like, the proverbial sugar daddy who if they walked away, the club would be in trouble. But the debt's only relevant if the person it's owed to calls it in. And I think it's highly unlikely he'd call it in, to be fair. But it is a risk, of course it is. But I think in reality he's wholly committed to the club. He wants to move it forward, he wants to build a new stadium, he's investing in the playing squad, etc. So I don't see a problem with it really. No. It's the way of football.
In November 2016, the winning design for the planned 5,000-seater stadium was announced. The stadium, designed by Zaha Hadid Architects, will be made entirely out of wood. The stadium will be the centrepiece to a $100 million eco-park. However, the club will have to be lifted out of Nailsworth and dropped around 10 miles away at Junction 13 on the M5. I got Ray's view on what he made of the new stadium plans, and if he'd heard any other fans who had been disgruntled by the changes.
Well, obviously, some people it's a bit like the changing of the colours, team colours. It's a bit like some people like to stick with what we've got. The reality is, we've outgrown our site. You know, we're averaging much bigger crowds, about 1,700 now, and if we're going to League Two, that will become a bigger problem. The facilities are great, but they're already hit a straining point. You go into any of the bars to get something to eat or drink, things like that. It can't cope with the numbers now, so it's essential that we move really.
From speaking to several other fans, the mood seems to be very content with how the club is being run. But there is one issue that crops up more than once, and it's what makes the club the first of its kind. It's an all-vegan club.
John Love, age 72, and I live in Bristol. Well, I think it's a bit too dictatorial. I don't like his attitude towards the food that's served inside the ground. We're limited to vegetarian food. The drinks are pretty poor. We can't get tea, for instance, with cow's milk in. It's got to be soya milk. And a lot of people who come from various parts of the country into this ground don't want it. They're not used to it. They've not got it at their own ground. It's only, it appears to be this ground where this type of food is served, and I don't think it's fair generally on most of the people that come to the ground. I think we ought to be able to choose inside here. We're paying for it. We ought to be able to choose what we want and not to be dictated to from the chairman's point of view. He's a vegan, that's fair enough, and I appreciate him being a vegan, but that doesn't mean to say that everybody should hold his opinions on food selection.
Good afternoon, can I have one ticket for an adult and a child, please? Martin McEwen, 54 Farley Road, Woodham, Woking, Surrey.
What do you make of sort of Forest Green's role in the league and sort of its ownership? Do you have any sort of negative or positive feelings towards it?
Yeah, I think it's run well, but they've got the sponsorship which we've never really had. So it's all to do with money really. But I think they've done a good job here, you know, and all the best to them. You know, it's nice. I don't like the no meat policy here because it's vegetarian, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I think that's kept a lot of the fans away, to be honest. Yeah. And I like to have the odd sticky cigarette as well. And I don't know if I'm allowed to have one of them here either. Do you know what I mean? So, but this is what we wish for, something like this, you know. Someone to put money into the club, but we don't get it.
So what do you make of that kind of debt for Forest Green, especially in non-league?
It's frightening.
Does it worry you as a fan?
If I was a fan of Forest Green, it'd worry me, because you've got to get them out of that debt. And if the debt keeps building, you know, the fellow who owns it, I don't know what his name is.
Dale Vince.
Dale Vince, he owns the electricity co-grid, isn't he?
Electricity, yeah.
If he pulled out, then that'd be, they'd back to be the village football club, aren't they? Happened to Wimbledon, it's happened to Portsmouth, it's happened to all of them, isn't it? Yeah. So that's the only thing that would worry me if I was at Forest Green. It's all great being up there and having 5.7 million and whatever their budget is, but if they crash, they'll hit bottom, won't they? Where if we crash this season or when we go down, we'll always stay in that league for next season because we'll have the budget for it. And Gary Hill does pull the players in, and Woking is a magnet for players as well. You know, they do like playing for Woking in the lower league. So that's the only other thing about it.
Back in Eastbourne now. It was quite interesting what a lot of people had to say. I tried to get into contact with Dale Vince, the chairman and owner, but he wasn't available. Apparently they need a 6-week notice at the moment, so there we go.
6 weeks.
Yeah, so I've just got some quotes that he said of the time of these sort of things when they happened, and maybe a few recent comments. So I think it might have been in 2015. He said, "We've probably reached the peak losses," so it's obviously about the debt, "but it's part of an investment plan to hopefully take us somewhere. Getting into League Two is a big part of becoming financially sustainable. This is to do with the Eton and being a vegan club." He said, "To show we need to change the way we live through 3 fronts. That's energy, transport and food." And he goes on to say it's all about changing perception. And then the stuff to do with the change of stadium, they're hoping to attract fans from not only the local area but Gloucester, Bristol, maybe even Swindon as well, he said.
Yeah, I guess I'll start on the veganism side, because it's interesting because on the one hand, obviously, most people, or a lot of people, aren't vegans, but at the same time, you can get vegetarian food that is perfectly delicious. At first I was thought, oh no, they should have the choice, but at the same time, it kind of it gives you, it's good that it gives you an identity, I think, especially when you're in the lower league, something that actually makes you stand out and kind of different, separates you from the rest, can only be a good thing. But maybe, yeah, I don't know if you could, because you can still just offer vegan options and maybe push them.
This is the thing. Yeah, I mean, I get that. Like you said, you want to be a USP, and that's great. I think he's possibly in the wrong business if he wants to change people's lifestyles. Because as an owner, you can do what you want, but at the end of the day, effectively, he's losing money because people are going there and they're not buying concessions and they're not buying. Basically, it's going to be food and drink because if the solar panel charge the thing, then great. I mean, there's literally nothing bad about that.
Yeah.
But I think he basically is just losing money, and that seems, as football's a business, that seems a little bit naive to just think, oh, I'm going to do it this way, and it's a bit stubborn to say, yeah, I'm just going to do it this way, and that's it. If you don't like it, unlucky. He's losing money, and that makes no sense.
I think I haven't got the quote, so don't quote me on this. But he sort of said that it's an investment, and he knew that they weren't going. He's like, you don't make money in football unless you're unless you're a Manchester United or something, or probably more likely Arsenal, to be honest. But Man United still make a profit even though they're in huge debt. Those are the kind of only teams that are really making profit. I think he's just trying to use it like many other teams that even though he said it's not about promoting ecotricity, it is quite clearly whether he means it or not, that's what's happening. And I thought sort of go back to the food, it's sort of I do agree that you should, at least as a human being, you should be able to have the choice of something or something else. But when I go there, I tend to have chips and gravy or chips, and that's really what I only have at a football game anyway. And we have burgers literally everywhere anyway. Whether you're going to McDonald's or whether you're going to, Eastbourne have just had recently 2 new burger places where they're offering really decent food. It's really decent burgers as well. So it's like, whereas when you go to a football ground, it's very rare that you find quality food. If there is burgers...
Yeah, I mean, I can name how many away games I've been to on one hand. I've got the pies there were nice, or they do something different that you don't usually get at other places. And I'd take that point on board. And I'd say, maybe you just go there and suck it up.
But it's one of those things.
It depends what's the food like in the surrounding area, because I'd rather usually if I go to a football game, to be fair, I go and eat somewhere else, before or after, rather than going at the game.
They're fine, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, exactly. The spoons. But then you're moving on to the.
I'm pretty sure
you're moving on to the junction, aren't you?
I'm pretty sure. Nailsworth doesn't have a lot. There's an really nice Indian up there, but there's not a lot in Nailsworth. You'd have to go to Stroud or where they have a couple of Italians, obviously McDonald's, what else. But there are other local little shops as well. But yeah, I think this is what I've come to my own conclusion with. It's sort of like, if something different, you only have. It's not like you're going regularly to the ground, but you have the maybe a vegan burger once, then just have chips all the time. But I think the bigger issue clearly is obviously someone who likes a good tea can't get their tea. Typical British.
That's annoying. Not being able to have, like, can they not just get from sustainable farms? It's not like
I think that's
But vegan's
changing. I'm
still-
pretty sure. Yeah.
Still, if you're a vegan,
Yeah.
that's
The
what
problem
goes
is
there.
you can't obviously go and get from like the butchers. You can't get like local butchers or whatever, because then you've got obviously this price to make the pie costs more, which means you've got to buy it off the butchers or the bakery or whoever you're getting it from. It's going to cost more, and then you've got to sell it for more. And people probably, I mean, Football League prices are an absolute disgrace as it is. So, I mean, I can't imagine it's too different in the conference, is it?
Yeah, price of food is, by the way, it's the same as it would be for a normal burger. They say it's more expensive to make, but they try to get it at the same price. So
Yeah.
Just fair.
Well, I think possibly you could look at offering like sustainable local produce to sort of keep on. I mean, you're still in that kind of realm of like responsible living, which I think is basically the bottom line is his mantra.
Yeah.
yeah.
It limits your being vegan and not vegetarian, because you find a lot of vegetarian dishes will then use cheese or something to add flavour.
Yeah.
The fact you can't even have cheese,
Yeah.
I think then makes it a bit. You can still, but as I say, like
Yeah.
you can still have
Yeah.
absolutely nice. The only way you're going to get loads of people to come in and like definitely buy vegan food is if you splash out on like a bloody good chef. Like, get someone in like
I think they
make
do
a
as
big
well.
thing
They
about
get a
having
lot of
this.
stuff in from London, whose
Yeah.
people specially make it for them because they've got that selling point. But I've not had one myself, which I stupidly haven't. So I'm gonna have to next
can
time I
take a
go,
dive.
I'll have to go and sort of do a review. But yeah. Did you have any issues as well with sort of like stadium moves and stuff like that being sort of picked up? I know it's only 10
Yeah.
miles, but it's
I think it's
Oh,
great
yeah.
for the club, to be honest. I mean, as you say, it's not like he's moving it that far away, and it's still not hard to get to, is it, for the regular Forest Green fans, probably?
no, it's obviously a journey more than a walk, but
More than a walk, but...
so you'd have to drive.
So
then
yeah,
it's like,
if you've got the facilities to park and everything,
How
and then
many
it
people are
opens it
from
up.
Nailsworth anyway? Like, I mean,
it's a very
hardly anyone
small
walk.
village.
I think if you did a poll,
Couple
hardly anyone
hundred.
would walk, would they?
No,
Really? I mean,
no.
people are going to get a car in anyway. So
That's why, they have such a big problem with cars parking on the side of the road, going up the hill and stuff, and that's one of the main reasons that they're deciding to move, is because even though because it's a football league ready stadium already.
Yeah.
But
I think this time though, I mean, it's got to be once they move this time, they've got to stay there for like
A long time.
a long time, because they move too often, and it's just ridiculous. Like all the building and the pollution that he's doing with the building all the time. So that's a little bit.
what you'd think they stay there because it's going to be part of a project
Yeah,
of the Eco.
That's
So you'd
like
like to think
a mini
it would,
Man City project
yeah.
thing. So hopefully they'll just stay there. And the only other thing that I don't know if you're going to mention it as well, but the debt. He said that Woking fan said, as long as if he leaves, they're in trouble. Well, I don't think he's going to. And it's like if you believe Dale Vincent, he says that they've stopped losing money and it's only going to go up from here. It's not an issue. There's a lot of ifs and buts involved. I think if he's responsible and that he really are making money, even little by little, then the club has got to perform, and then you'll be okay. I think it's just a worry. It's sort of if you haven't got the assets to buy it and then to sort of sell off or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other fan summed it up, didn't he, by just saying that's football, mate. Because there is a lot of that sort of thing, and there is a lot of...
It's not
obviously
right.
It's a big
but
money game. It's not right, but it's understandable, and I think, the fact that you have this identity in the vegan thing is actually going to encourage... it would be certain companies, but it would encourage definitely some pretty cool sponsorships, I think, and definitely get you some interest to the point where you could get to the point where there might be some fanatical vegans in America or something who then hear about Forest Green or something.
Yeah.
That sort of thing that opens you up and it pushes you out, and that's going to help you make money, draw interest into the club, and yeah, you're a club on the up.
Yeah, I one of my main questions I didn't put in there, but it was I felt like, do they need to go up this season? It's one of those things. They say they have a 10-year plan, and they're like, oh, we don't need to go up this year. But I feel like the momentum's with them at the moment. They sort of like, if they're still losing money at 2 million each time, that can grow surely quite quickly into
He's going to get
10
nervous,
mil,
isn't he? There,
10
yeah.
mil, 15 mil, and then you'll. I'm sure he's got to be worried about that kind of loss. At the moment, it's okay, maybe a year or two, but I feel like even though they're being very casual about it, I'd be.
Was there something that Woking fan said? Is that a different? I think it was the different one he said about We were talking about this earlier. You know the I think it was the point that me and Che picked up on, where it was, if it's in your colours, it's all right. And he said, I think the Woking fan said about if basically he'd love it if like a sugar daddy or someone came in and pumped money into their club and stuff. And it's basically like he mentioned about, I don't really. If I was, he said, the other one I think said, if I was a Forest Green fan, I'd be worried about the debt. And then the other guy was like, well, I want someone to come in, and if you're a fan of that club, then you might be worried, but as long as he's pumping the money in and the club's doing well, you don't really care.
It's when you're a fan, it's not your money, is it?
Exactly. But you're always worried that the chairman's just going to get bored or think I'll get cold feet and then leave. So I would prefer, my view, but I would prefer a chairman to run a club on a sound financial basis, and then the club will find its level up from there. I don't want people spending money there.
I think results-wise as well, going back to the whole, whether you need to get promoted or not this year, talking from, obviously I know it's different, but from Watford's experience, because we nearly got promoted the first year the Pozzos came in, and then you do get this impatience of, you've got a good squad, your squad is more than capable of topping that league, but at the same time, as gutting as that playoff final was at Wembley, it wasn't the time for us to go up. And I think results-wise, when you go up, you deserve to go up, and you don't want to go up by a fluke or just that one-off season. You need a solid squad, and that the squad that will take you up will be one that's better. And it's better to be patient and build and wait, and then really get a solid base in that team and solid something to build on.
I would say, I do agree, but I feel like they've got that solid base now because they got into the playoffs 2 years ago. Last year got to the final playoff game at Wembley, lost that. So it's like, if you're going on that trajectory, then they should be coming first, but in the table. But if they'd gone up, I last year when they lost to Grimsby, I was like, Grimsby were the better side, and I think they deserved. And they're showing, they're top half of League Two, so they've shown they were ready, and they've missed out hundreds of times. Not hundreds obviously, but a good handful of times.
Yeah.
I was just worried that you keep getting usurped by other teams that are up there. Like he was always competing with Cheltenham. There was Grimsby and Dover up there, but they sort of things are. Probably,
it's Lincoln.
I think
it'd be Lincoln and Dagenham this
year. Things
year.
will go that way. Dagenham are very much a yo-yo between that, and then Lincoln obviously look a cut above as well. So you've got to take your chance on winning the playoffs, and I think it's probably between you and Dagenham.
Do you not fancy Tranmere?
I don't think. Push comes to shove, I think you're a better team than Tranmere. On your day, you should beat them, and if they go up instead of you, you've been robbed, basically. I think it should be a Forest Green Dagenham playoff final, and then Lincoln go up automatically.
But football's a funny game. You never know how it's going to turn out, do you?
But
I think I'd rather have an ownership that's local as well. Ecotricity being probably a lot of my friends are employed there, so it's one of those things that it's quite nice to have it pushing sort of the local agenda as well as Stroud, who have been known for nothing since the silk mill. So
it's good to have. It means that because it's a local business as well, there's that added interest into the club, so it kind of gives you a bit, not total, but a bit more kind of reassurance that he is invested in this and he most likely will stay. And I think he's put so much into this, and he's got such a club called Forest Green is perfect for a vegan, to be honest, isn't it? Yeah. So it's too good an opportunity for him to not take advantage of. So I think he'll be there to stay, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know. And I think if they can get up sooner rather than later, I think it would settle the market. When I found out about the date, it did worry me hugely. But I feel like if it suddenly becomes 10 million and plus, then I would be seriously worried. But at the moment, I think it's sort of manageable. When's
the new stadium actually going to be built and playable?
Not for a few years.
So I think you've still got time.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, because obviously they've only just sorted out the winning design.
So it's going to be a few years yet.
So I'm pretty sure planning permission's been accepted. Yeah. At least a couple of years off, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think either way, even if you don't go up this year again, if you're unlucky and miss out again, I think you're definitely in the right going in the right trajectory, and you're going up. And
it looks good. Go down. Newport are going to go down, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
Probably, and then it sort of depends on
Something else.
who goes down. I think if they go down,
Cheltenham could, but they look like they're doing alright.
Cheltenham are, I
No,
think.
they're doing alright at the
Yeah.
moment, but at one stage.
I think if Newport, it depends on the other team that goes down. If Newport and I'm trying to think who's down there at the moment.
Later, or
I mean, Orient. If
Hartlepool.
they get their stuff together, Orient are definitely a football league club, so that's a problem for Forest Green. If it's someone like I can't think of anyone who's down there at the moment.
I was looking. I just got rid of it. Hartlepool was down there.
So we
Hartlepool
have
always down there.
York. No, what am I doing? Wrong one.
That's the wrong table.
Who else you got? Accrington, Stanley,
Stanley are too big, I think.
Crew, and then it's Crew and then Notts County. So
Crew are down there.
yeah, Crew are actually down there, which is surprising.
I think the problem is for Forest Green. If any of those go down with Newport, they're still a big club. They should still come back up.
That's why they have to prove themselves, don't they?
So,
it's as simple as that. Like,
literally is.
the only way they're going to get up is by making sure they're better than everyone else.
Yeah, they've got
Or if they change the rules, and because a lot of people are pushing for it, an extra promotion place. But
Interesting.
I think that's probably fair.
Yeah, they probably would be. Right, now to close things off, we're not always most serious here, and we like to have a bit of fun, poke fun at footballers as well. We like to compare players to different things, see how change a bit, go away from football a bit. We've had the watermelon Gabriel Jesus, and this week we're going to the zoo, and we're using our animals to describe players. The football zoo. What?
Is it Whipsnade Zoo?
It might be Whipsnade. Whipsnade's a quality zoo. But
Zoo's not bad.
This has all been.
Other zoos are available.
Like locals, Whipsnade and Woburn, pretty decent. I quite like the zoos.
They're great zoos, but that's good.
The football zoo's different.
It's not real, Johnny.
The football zoo's totally.
Players are only there for conservation. It's all good by me.
Yeah, the football.
It's
This
an
is
organic football zoo. Where
it's purely to help rehabilitate endangered footballers and bring them back onto the pitch. Into the wild. Yeah, this all comes about because Buffon described Mario Mandzukic as a huge, aggressive gorilla, the type that never falls down. Which is quite odd. I mean, to be fair, I don't think I've ever seen a gorilla fall down, so I guess he's got a point. It's not a trait.
Sat on their ass.
I wouldn't say that to a gorilla's face.
Can't fall down if it never gets up. So
Exactly. Yeah, so I got everyone to prepare a player. I guess I can go first if you want. So we'll say the animal and how that relates to the player without saying the player, and then the other two people will try and guess who that football player is.
Okay.
So kick things off. I've gone with a dolphin.
that's shock.
What? Oh yeah, I'm technically a Miami Dolphins fan. I don't know anything about this player's blowhole, but
Oh, goodness.
but what I do know is when you get a glimpse of them, they're graceful, they're fantastic, like really fun to watch. But the problem is they can go missing, and sometimes it's hard. It's hard to spot the dolphins. You have to get lucky and watch them at the right time. You need to get out to the ocean and hopefully get a glimpse of them, but it's not guaranteed you'll get that amazing flipping display.
Insigne.
Insigne, no, Insigne's consistent. Insigne's a god. He's amazing. How dare you?
Who goes Ozil?
Not Ozil. That's
a
a very good comparison though. It's a very Ozil's a ghost dolphin. He's
I saw a YouTube video actually of Ozil. I think it's from You Max It, and they sort of go into that. He's actually, even though he's having a bad season, he's still doing pretty well, which was quite interesting.
I think all of his German teammates supported him this week, didn't they? That he's still playing well.
Yeah.
It's just Arsenal crap.
Yeah, he probably is. To be honest.
It's really interesting. I still don't think it gets him off the hook, but yeah, he's clearly better than everyone else there, apart from Sanchez.
Sanchez, yeah.
Is it? What's his face? Oh my god, what's his name? Oh, I can see him.
See him. Who's he play for?
He plays up front for Watford.
He's a Watford player.
What's his name?
Is it?
I'm completely getting blank on his name. What's his name?
Success.
This is gonna be stupid.
Oh,
It's
not
like a
Isaac
really
Success.
obvious player.
It's not Isaac Success.
He goes missing.
What's his face? I can see his stupid, ugly face.
Ugly face.
He's.
Troy Deeney's terribly consistent.
Oh, where's
by
he
the way,
from?
so
He's from
just don't-
Nigeria, I think.
Only Nagalo's gone.
Where did he? Is he gone?
Yeah, you went to China.
Did he?
Where have you been?
I don't know that. Oh.
We got 20 million for him.
Yeah, I
he went on
remember
deadline
that.
day.
I remember
Nagalo's off, mate.
It's not Nagalo.
That's why
It's
he's
not
missing,
Ghana, no.
because he's not
No.
there.
I talk about him all the time about how inconsistent. I think you
Is it
even heard earlier, Liam,
is
when
it
I was listening to the
Capu?
podcast. Yeah, it's Capu, yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
He's fantastic when he turns up and he decides
When
to
you
be
said about
there.
the tricks, that was when I was thinking. I just got it in my head. I was
Tricks,
like, right,
like,
it's
it
him.
got-
He hasn't been seen for ages.
Yeah, this wasn't too bad. But yeah, that was my point of when Capu, when he's so graceful on the ball and he's fantastic when he actually turns up, but he's so inconsistent. And when I was listening to From the Rookery and the Watford podcast earlier, the guys on there were saying there are more. Someone's like there was an off performance from Capu, and they were like, oh, there's more off performances from Capu than on. He'll turn up for like a big game now and then, and he's superb, and you know he's one of the best players at that club, but he just doesn't show it most weeks. He's a dolphin.
You can go next.
You want me to go? Okay, so what are we saying? We're saying animal.
Say the animal and then use the description.
Let us guess, yeah.
Oh, God,
But don't
I've
name the
only
plant.
got the animal, so I'll go with animal and then
Animal,
then I'll think
Yeah,
of
yeah,
something.
sure.
Honey badger.
Honey badger.
He's
Pepe.
a nasty.
Aggressive
nasty
little.
little.
Yeah, nasty little.
He's like, well, it's more for the name really, but it is, you know, they have got a sweet side to them, but
Most of the time, you just want to
you
shoot.
can't get away, like they're pretty nasty. But did they have to be players that are still playing? Because I've got this fits 2 players, so it depends on the.
Edgar Davids.
I'll say no. I guess tell us if they're playing or not.
I probably should have been negative, but yeah,
They're not. So they're not playing anymore.
they're not playing anymore.
The retired honey badger.
Yeah.
Jamie Carragher.
No. Jamie Carragher's like a soft honey badger, right?
Someone's joining in the Danny Simpson Twitter war going. Come on, Jamie. We all know you're a bit soft.
I don't know.
Is it? Do you want to give you a hint? It's a United player.
Oh, okay, I was going to say good
Well, it
too.
might have been. I was trying to think.
Just
Try and make it
Yap
easy
Stam.
for you. No.
There's been a lot of nasty man. You're like, oh, Roy Keane.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a nasty piece of work.
Oh,
He
that makes sense.
does show his kind heart sometimes, and then he
Yeah.
rips
Does he show his
rips your leg off. So yeah,
Literally
I thought,
does.
Yeah, that was one that just came to my mind. So
Yeah, fair play.
that's
Go with
what I
that.
think,
Got,
When
got
you-
some exotic animals, haven't we?
When you
Honey
first,
badger
when
and
you
dolphin.
first suggested me this, I initially thought of someone, and then I thought of snake. But
Mahrez,
if I
Vardy, Morgan,
if I give you an animal snake,
Drinkwater.
I might as well just name, like, you could be naming players till the cows come out.
Fabian Delph. He's not a player, but Brendan Rodgers. He's a snake.
So
He abandoned Watford. That's what.
I'm trying.
No,
Context,
For
thank
those who
you.
don't know, he started his career at Watford and then randomly joined for Reading, who are in no better position than us in the Championship.
I've got this player is basically, he's like do you know what a Newfoundland is? Like a big dog.
Okay.
He's a big dog, but he's like a puppy basically. He's quite young. It's quite a young puppy.
Is this a football league player?
No.
Okay.
He's basically this dog is slightly,
Okay, they are adorable
yeah.
and slightly dopey
They're
looking.
quite cute and they're a bit dopey, and they do often get themselves in trouble by accident or possibly just being stupid.
Mario
And
Balotelli.
yes, it is. When I initially did Balotelli, I was thinking, because maybe like say unicorn or something, because he's like, when he's there, he's amazing.
Yeah.
And when he's playing, he's incredible, but he's very rarely like.
But
actually,
Are we allowed
he's actually
mystical
there.
animals? Because I could have found something for a dragon.
Oh, yeah.
Dragon.
Just like
If you believe, then they're real.
Bale.
Bale the dragon.
Yeah.
He's an angry dragon. Did you see his red
Yeah,
card?
I haven't
That
seen
was
it.
very strange.
It was
I
appalling.
didn't see
So
the-
he literally he's chasing
tripped
another
him.
player. Not even tripping.
Well,
He kicks him like really hard in the back of the leg, and he gets a yellow card for that.
But
And then while the
no, because this is what I remember. He's the other player's running. He kicks him, and then he sort of gets away from him again, and then he like has another go in, but not too
But he
much.
misses and he pulls out, but the ref's already pulled it back and books him. And then as he's booking him, Bales has words with him and shoves him like really hard and gets a second yellow. So he literally got 2 yellow cards
The
in
other
like a
guy
minute.
probably deserved it. I can't imagine Gareth would
No,
do something like that.
No,
That is,
yeah, I
but
know,
at the same
it was
time,
strange,
it's-
but it was
a
yeah,
deserved red.
It
from
wasn't
Bale.
Gareth's fault.
It was very weird.
No, it wasn't.
I know you're
It
partly
wasn't-
Welsh,
it wasn't
Johnny, so
Gareth's
you've got an invested interest there, but it was dreadful by Bale, honestly.
I think the referee's the joke, to be honest. I think it was never a red card. What's he doing? Keeping players on the pitch.
Bale like protest his innocence, and I couldn't understand how. And after watching it, it was
Yeah.
really out of character for him.
Having not
but it was
seen
still
it, of
appalling.
course, Bale was completely in the right. So
Seemed like a fair assessment.
yeah.
So we had the Newfoundland, a honey badger, and a dolphin.
Fair enough.
It's an interesting range.
What a great day at the zoo.
Yeah.
Quality day at the zoo.
Can we go through the gift shop
Swimming
now?
with dolphins.
Can we go through the gift shop and not buy anything? Just
Yeah.
just touch the soft
Hey,
toys.
let me have my
and then
picture
walk
taken
out.
and charge me 20 quid to get it in a special frame.
Yeah.
Hate
No,
this.
a frame, as in
Yeah.
a plastic little printed out like folder.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Don't
Did
know.
you say you had another player that you thought of? Another animal? Because you were thinking the two, was that also for
No,
honey
it was
badger?
just for honey badger. So. But,
You were saying if it was someone, didn't you say
Um,
someone else?
Or Bale for the dragon.
Yeah, for a
yeah,
dragon.
no, I'll leave it.
Leave it, no.
Yeah, save it for another. But yeah.
Oh, goody.
Yeah, I think that's it on it.
So that was it. I hope you enjoyed our trip to the zoo. And yeah, we're on YouTube. We're going big time. Massive. So it's goodbye from me.
Hope you enjoy the new logos. It's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Have a happy March, everyone.
Yeah, let's have a good March.